What's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, the latest update of Ramon Dino. Just over 6 weeks out from the 2024 Arnold Classic Ohio, where he's looking to defend his title for the first time this year. And I think what makes this physique update a little bit extra cool to see is Ramon really typically doesn't post a whole lot of updates going into any show. I mean, going into the Olympia, there was like that one picture that leaked of Ramon during the week of the show, and that was like all we saw from him almost the entire prep in terms of physique updates. So he tends to just let his physique do the talking for him when he's on stage. But this update in particular, I think Ramon looks really impressive. I think the thing that a lot of people notice about Ramon, and I said this also about Urs in the last video, but looking at Ramon outside of competition, he looks massive. And Urs too, Urs is known to get up to these really heavier off-season weights like 275. But Ramon, as round and full as he looks, for as lean as he is, it always seems absurd to me that he's able to make weight for classic physique. I mean, look at how big and how full his delts and his arms look here. And he's lean. I mean, you can see cuts and vascularity, but this is a guy that competes in classic physique, but he looks like in this video as big as a 212 bodybuilder, or even maybe bigger than a 212 guy. I think he's going to be a very difficult challenge for Urs or anybody to beat at this year's Arnold Classic. And the other thing that seems so exciting about Ramon is like when you see these collaborations that he's been doing with Chris Bumstead, who's the current Classic Physique Olympia champ. Obviously, he's the reigning champion. But when you see him do these continued collaborations with Chris, it's almost like Chris is preparing him, like setting him up to take over when Chris retires. We just heard in that last video that Chris definitively says he will be done competing by 30. So at most, we might get 2 more Mr. Olympia competitions out of Chris. He said 30 is like the latest, so maybe he only does 1 more. So when I see these videos of Ramon and Chris and all these pictures and them hanging out and being really friendly outside of competition, that's kind of the vibe that I get when I look at these pictures. It's like Chris is kind of preparing him because he's the next one up. Because once Chris is gone, it seems most likely that Ramon is going to be the one that's going to take over from there and probably win the first Olympia after Chris. And I almost wonder if him and Chris have had conversations along those lines when they're hanging out for, weeks, whether whether Ramon is in Chris's country or whether Chris is in his. It seems like they spend an awful lot of time together during that trip. And in terms of popularity, too, it's like Ramon is kind of the next in line because he's got a tremendous, massive Brazilian following. I think he's got almost 6 million followers on Instagram. So it really does kind of feel like he's preparing to pick up where Chris left off in every aspect when Chris is gone. I really honestly don't think that Ramon is going to beat Chris while Chris stays. But I think as soon as Chris is gone, Ramon is that guy. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think about this update of Ramon? What do you think he weighs in this update? I mean, it's honestly got to be still significantly higher than what he's going to weigh on the Arnold Classic stage. It's got to be 25 pounds heavier at least. He looks every bit of like 260s or 270s here. And do you think anyone stands a chance against Ramon at the Arnold Classic? Can Urs pull it off? Now, next up in the news, we finally got the first full physique update from GoodVito after his hernia surgery. So you can see him straight on from the front, posing, and clearly see his midsection here. Now, it does look here a lot different than we saw it look in the past prior to the surgery. You can't really see the protrusion where his belly button was. It was sticking out quite a bit at that, particularly that one guest posing that he did. But in this update, it does look fixed. You can still see kind of, I don't know if it's like an indentation or like some kind of blurriness in that mid to lower ab area that looks a little bit different than the rest of his abs, but overall the protrusion of that umbilical hernia seems to be fixed here. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get to see GoodVito's pro debut towards the end of 2023 like we were anticipating, and we also didn't get to see GoodVito take the Olympia stage or qualify for the Olympia at the end of 2023 like we were hoping for. Now, GoodVito kind of took advantage of that downtime. He was having a baby at that same time, and he obviously wasn't going to be competing towards the end of the year, so he used that time to his advantage to schedule the surgery for that time. And we will be seeing him on stage relatively soon at the Arnold Classic Brazil in April. So I'm still very interested to see if GoodVito is going to be able to travel internationally, because that's why he wasn't able to compete at the shows that he was trying to compete in towards the end of 2023. His visas kept getting denied, his European visas, to go to Italy and Spain, I believe, were the two ones that he was going to do. And now, the next show that he's going to do is going to be a show in Brazil, where he's already living. Now, I know that he's had some legal issues in the past, and I know that he's originally from Russia, and I wonder if it's either of those two things that are prohibiting him to travel to compete. Which would be a shame. I mean, imagine if he was somehow able to win the Arnold Classic Brazil, qualify for the Olympia by winning one of the Arnolds, and then not be able to go to the Olympia. I'm still very optimistic about GoodVito's competitive future. At that same guest posing where you could see that protruding hernia, he also fell off the stage and he slightly injured his legs, but clearly, as you can see, slightly injured his leg, not legs. But clearly, as you can see here, his legs are fine. He's still got plenty of size. They don't look injured at all. Nothing seems to be wrong. So fortunately for him, that worked out okay. It looks like the surgery went well. It looks like the hernia is fixed and not as noticeable or barely noticeable at all. And I think probably what you can see in that mid to lower ab area is probably just still scar tissue from the surgery or something like that. But I really do think this guy's the real deal, and I think he's going to prove that on a pro stage, and I think he is going to surprise a lot of people. Let me know what you guys think about how GoodVito is looking in this update in the comments down below. Now, next up in the news, we've also got another update from Rubiel Neckzilla. Rubiel, kind of one of the fan favorites going into the Arnold Classic. He made quite the impression towards the end of 2023, better known as Neckzilla. But I think at this point, like I said, I'm surprised people aren't calling him Quadzilla because he's got some of the craziest legs I think that most people have really ever seen. And he posted this update, a series of updates. And he says, 2024, we're currently at 30%, 70% to go to be in shape for everything. Now, I know that a lot of people are kind of nervous now that Andrew Jacked pulled out of the Arnold Classic. And in that initial Arnold Classic competitor list, Andrew Jacked was listed as a pending competitor, and so was Rubiel. So now people are wondering, is there a chance we don't see Rubiel on the Arnold Classic stage? I still think that chance exists, but I'm optimistic that we will see him. And looking at these updates, he looks relatively in shape, but I kind of expected him to look a little bit sharper at almost 6 weeks out. I mean, his legs obviously look crazy, but his upper body to me still looks a little bit just kind of smoother in the upper body, and that kind of worries me. And especially, you know, phrasing it at 30, he's only at 30% right now. It's 6 weeks out. I think he should be a little bit more than that, but I am excited to see him if he is going to be at the Arnold Classic and he is in shape and he is competitive. I'm interested to see where he lands in this lineup, because this lineup is a highly competitive one. And he already made quite the impression next to Michael Krizo and Samson Dauda, two top Olympians, at his pro debut. And I think he's going to have a similar impression here at the Arnold Classic Ohio if he's in shape. Now, the final story that I have for you guys today, speaking of the Arnold Classic, another guy that I feel could be a wild card here, James Hollinshead, who we haven't seen compete in quite some time, looking a little bit different in these updates at just over 6 weeks out, having a bit of a tan this time around. James' kind of trademark thing in the offseason is really just being pretty pale. He's a white guy from the UK. There's not a whole lot of sun there. And this is one of the first updates I've seen where I thought, wow, James looks really tan here. He looks really different with a tan on in the offseason. Now, these updates come courtesy of James's coach, Milos Sarcev. And Milos lately has been on quite the spree, the success spree, with Samson Dauda. Obviously, Samson has been one of the most improved bodybuilders over the last couple of years. Insane placings, top 3 at the Olympia, winning the Arnold. And Milos was also responsible for the impressive pro debut of Brazil's Marcelo De Angelis, Horse MD. That top 3 placing that he got, although it wasn't a win, that pro debut still impressed a good majority of the bodybuilding community and also is attributed to Milos. And I believe this will be the first show that Milos has worked with James for. James was previously working with Patrick Tour. So I wouldn't count James out of this lineup. I think he can be someone that could really make some noise in this lineup, and I think working with Milos, while Milos is on a run right now, He could be one of the top placers that people might not necessarily expect because we haven't seen him compete as recently and his name hasn't really been in the conversation recently. But I think he could surprise a lot of people here. So James looking really good in these updates, and I think could be a big wild card here. That's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.